If your boss just gave you some feedback that felt vague, unfair, or just plain useless, and you're still sitting with it, this video is for you. Most managers do one of two things when they get crappy feedback. They either spiral and think they suck at their job, or they just dismiss it. Neither one of these paths actually helps you. By the end of this video, I'm going to give you permission to throw away the unhelpful parts of that feedback. But first, let's sort through it. Hi, I'm Jen Arnold, and I help new leaders navigate their first people management roles. Okay, here's the truth. The systems set up in most organizations are not conducive to giving consistent, meaningful feedback. Feedback tends to live in a performance review that may happen twice a year, if you're lucky. But feedback should be happening consistently so we can all do our jobs better. But it doesn't. And when it does happen, you end up with feedback like, you need to be more confident, or, hey, I'd like you to be more strategic, with zero explanation of what that means or how to actually fix it. Or it gets dumped on you all at once, and it can feel like an attack. In fact, just the mere mention of, hey, can I give you some feedback, is enough to send you into threat mode, because it implies that you're not competent, and as a result, we go into threat and protection. So if you automatically get defensive or want to argue, that's just what feedback does when it feels like an attack. The problem isn't that feedback is hard, it's that the how, when, and why someone gives you feedback is completely out of your control, and no one gave you a system for what to do with that crappy feedback. Here's where leaders can get tripped up. The goal isn't to absorb every piece of feedback you receive. The goal is how to know what to do with it. Let's go through the steps. Step 1, write it out. When feedback stings, your first instinct is to respond, to defend yourself, to immediately decide if it's right or wrong. Don't. Your brain's in threat mode, and decisions made in threat mode are almost never your best ones. When your emotions are heightened, your executive thinking isn't happening. You're less likely to be logical. So responding without letting it sink in is reactive, and you don't want to be seen as a reactive leader. So I know it feels urgent to go defend or go explain why their feedback is wrong, but that's not helpful. So pausing in it can really help increase your emotional intelligence and give you time to process. Now, there is a tool called the feeling wheel that can help you identify why the feedback is pushing your emotional buttons. I realize this sounds like something you would give a kindergartner, but I promise you, if you start sorting through your emotions when your emotional buttons are being pushed, it increases your emotional intelligence greatly. I know pausing feels passive, but it's not. It's strategic. So give yourself some time, whether it's a few hours, a few days, a few weeks. Regardless, if you can, give yourself at least one night to sit on the feedback. Because when you sleep, it actually helps dampen those emotions a little bit. So you're more likely to think more logically the next day about the feedback you've been given. So you don't need to do anything with what you heard right away. Step 2, ask for clarity. This is the step most managers skip. What ends up happening is you get the feedback and you're just sitting in it, wallowing, not sure where to go with it, and not doing anything with it. And I get it, because going back feels uncomfortable. You may not know what to say, or you may worry that's going to be misinterpreted, that you weren't listening, or that you don't understand, or you don't have a good grasp on leadership at your company. Please don't feel that way. It's actually a sign of leadership. Here is a script that you can use with your boss. Hey boss, I'm really thinking through that feedback you gave me. It's really important for me to be a strong leader here, but I'm not quite certain what you mean by being more strategic. Can you give me a specific example when you wanted me to be more strategic and I wasn't? Then the ball is in their court. Now, sometimes you ask and you still get nothing. Maybe you'll get something like, oh, well, let me think about that and get back to you. And they never do. Or you get some half-hearted explanation that still doesn't resonate. All right, that may happen as well. But what you're getting is a piece of information about your boss. You're learning that they're going to give you feedback that doesn't always make sense. You asked for clarity, you didn't get it. So when that happens, it's not your failure. It's information about your boss. Because over time, the quality of the feedback you receive tells you something about that leader giving it. So we'll come back to that. Now, if this is resonating for you, I'd love you to subscribe. I publish a new video each week for leaders to help navigate their first people management roles. All right, step 3, run it through my TALC framework. TALC is 4 questions. And the 4 questions help you separate what's real feedback you can do something with and what's noise or garbage that you can just throw away. So what we're trying to do is find the part of the feedback that's actually yours to do something with. Okay. For me to show you how it works, I want to use an example of someone who went through my training a couple years ago. We were talking about like the worst feedback we've ever received. And her boss told her, you need to improve your confidence. Okay. She asked, how can I do that? And her boss said, hey, we'll figure it out, and got no follow-up. She got no direction, no follow-up. It was just kind of sitting there. So let's run that through TALC. All right, T, truth. What's the truth in what was said? You know, we're not talking about how the delivery was, but was there anything true? Could this person go through and say, yeah, have there been moments where I held back when I had an opinion? When I maybe deferred when I didn't have to? Just be honest with what you've maybe noticed about yourself, what you know to be true about yourself. Truth question isn't about agreeing with the feedback. It's about trying to find any grain of reality or truth in it. All right, A is agree. What do I agree with? So this is different from the truth. What you're saying is, do I agree with what they're saying to me? That I need to have more confidence. It's either yes, no, sometime, and you can say, no, I don't agree with it, and that's fine too. But you still need to go to this step, learn, L. What can I learn from the situation? Here's a different perspective, okay? The learning might not be about the actual feedback at all. Like, so in this specific example, confidence. You may not learn anything from this situation directly about the feedback. It might be that you need to get feedback from other people. You have to say, okay, well, I need to now learn who else I need to go to outside of my boss. You may learn that, hey, my boss isn't very helpful for feedback. It might be that you need to go advocate for yourself in your own development. It might be that you need to show your boss examples of when you were confident. Maybe you need to name your own growth areas before someone else names them for you. You may just need to get other people's perspective. The learning is yours, even if the feedback was theirs. You take from it what you can. C, control. What's in my control? Well, the delivery wasn't in your control. The follow-up they didn't give you wasn't in your control. And the lack of support's not in your control. So what you can control is what you do with this now. You can name the specific behaviors you want to work on, even if they couldn't. You can find your own path forward without waiting for someone to hand you a roadmap. That's your control. That is agency. And it's more powerful than any feedback conversation they could have given you. So you may decide at the end of TALC that you feel confident enough, or maybe you decide that I need to go in a different direction. I need to go get different perspective to vet. Is this even a piece of feedback I need to do something with? So you decide what you control. Step 4, release it. All right, step 4 is just release it. Now, I told you at the beginning of this video that you might be allowed to throw some of this feedback away. Here's what I meant by that. Feedback that is vague, unsupported, and followed by zero guidance is not a development plan. It's just some half-hearted comments. And you're not obligated to carry these half-hearted comments around like it's a verdict of your behavior and your work performance. You took it seriously, you gave yourself some time to think about it, you asked for clarity, even if they didn't give you any. You ran through TALC and you decided, what do you agree with and what's in my control? The rest, let it go. Because if you don't, if you hold on to every piece of feedback that was poorly delivered, you will spend more time managing your reaction, letting it sit with you, than actually growing from it. Ultimately, your development belongs to you, not to the boss who's not equipped to give you constructive and meaningful feedback. So here's the system. When you get crappy feedback, write it out, let it sit, ask for clarity, run through the TALC framework, and release the stuff that you could care less about. Release what isn't yours to carry. And if you can't find anything actionable after running TALC, the feedback probably wasn't specific enough to act on, and that tells you something too. If you want to get better at having those difficult conversations, twice a year I run a live cohort for new leaders who are trying to get better at leading and managing people. Now, if the doors aren't open when you're watching this, I also send leadership tips twice a month in my newsletter. Either way, both links are below in the description. Now, if you want to know how to ask for better feedback so you stop getting the vague, unhelpful kind in the first place, that's the next video. Subscribe to get notified when it's published. Thanks for watching.